A warm good afternoon to you. We are back with another episode here on News Infusion. Today we will be looking at how the killing of 16-year-old Nathaniel Julies has shed light on the struggles of the coloured community and how society needs to change the way of thinking concerning the diverse nature of people in South Africa.
For me personally, seeing that, I didn't know that it was a lady also that was arrested, that was with a scorpion. But now seeing that she's a colored lady as well, it really shook me the inside. It hurt me the inside to know that someone of our race can do something like that at home. You understand? And still came back and tried to cover it up. You understand? But I'm just glad that they are apprehended, they are in custody. Most of all, that there is no bail for them at this moment. For them to do such a thing to him, seeing his condition, and now that's why I said it's hitting home now, because the lady that was with him, if she is from El Dorado Park, then she probably know Nathaniel or Lucky, because everybody knows him. It's hard so, because when we went to fetch his clothes, he still had biscuits in his pocket. The biscuits that he was standing and eating, there was one packet left in his pocket.
On the 26th of August, 16-year-old Nathaniel Julies with Down syndrome was shot while simply eating a biscuit by a police officer known as Scorpion. The community of El Dorado Park was very upset, which resulted in unrest between the police and the community. Now, how did this incident make you feel? And do you think it got the attention it deserved? Because it seemed as though, some South Africans felt that because Nathaniel Julies was colored, his life did not matter. Kylie, what's your take?
Okay, so personally, on the 26th of August, I was supposed to be celebrating my niece's birthday.
Yeah.
But on that day, when I heard the news of Nathaniel Julies, something in me just dropped.
Yeah.
I felt that it was personally an injustice, not only because he had Down syndrome, but simply because he wasn't doing any harm to anyone around him. He wasn't doing anything that provoked the people who shot him, who were later allegedly seen to be the cops.
Yeah.
So personally, that really did take a heavy toll on me, because it's something that a person doesn't expect. And when you do see it occurring, you just feel like it's a hopeless situation. Like, what if that could have been me? Personally, I also don't think that it got the attention that it needed. Like, whether it's on social media, on news platforms, I really don't believe that it got the proper attention that it should have gotten, because for other causes like Black Lives Matter, it appeared on all social media platforms as well as on the news. Even with gender-based violence, it appeared on so many platforms. But for Nathaniel, it had to come to the point where we as people had to call out on other people to say, guys, wake up, you guys aren't making this a big enough hype, or not even a hype, just you aren't bringing the right attention to this.
Yeah.
And another thing that kind of made me feel like it wasn't getting the proper attention was on the 2nd of September, on the SABC News Bulletin around 7. I found out that there was like an incident of a farm murder that happened. And Becky Tele decided to go and visit that family to find out like what the investigation entailed and everything. But he couldn't put in that same effort for Nathaniel Julies, who was murdered by the police force that he is supposed to be in charge of. So that to me also made it feel like it wasn't
important.
It wasn't getting the light that it needed.
Well, first off, Nathaniel was a person. He was a human being. Whether or not the police respected his life is out of question. I don't think anyone should be any family should be dealing with that kind of trauma. Like to lose their son, no matter whether or not he was a colored boy, a 16-year-old boy with Down syndrome. The fact of the matter is his life was lost, and people did not respect that. They did not treat it as that. The police didn't respond as they should have. Instead, they were the people that had taken that life from them.
Police brutality is nothing new in South Africa. There have been many incidents during and before the lockdown, and it seems as though the behavior of police officers during apartheid is being carried right through to 2020. In an article from the Daily Maverick written by Wayne Ngube and Nadia Jarodi, they note that law enforcement implements different tactics in different suburbs. So in affluent neighborhoods, police are protecting these communities, whereas in your townships, police are forcefully evicting citizens. Some are arrested for loitering or selling goods on the street. Have you experienced any form of police brutality in your community, or know of anyone that has gone through this? And does this hamper your faith in the justice system?
I have not experienced any police brutality, but I can speak about an experience that happened recently. On Sunday, the people in our area, the community of Easters, decided to have a sit-in in honor of Nathaniel Julius, to respect his life and show that he means something to us because his death was not in vain. We had done nothing. We literally just decided we're going to gather, and as soon as we started gathering, there was already a large amount of the police force in the area. We had not done anything, we had not made any announcements, and just before anything could have started, they had already told us to disperse, otherwise they were going to use force to disperse us, which made no sense.
Yeah.
And I understand that the protests might be illegal in the current lockdown level they are in, but you cannot expect the citizens of a country to remain quiet when there are issues that they face every day and everyone is facing the same thing. It does not make any sense for the police to decide to end something before it became violent, before it even was violent, when there was no violent intent in the first place.
Okay, so personally, to me, in Eastras, a Eastras resident, I haven't experienced any form of police brutality based on myself, nor any family members or friends. But I can, however, vouch for how the Eastras police station often is quick to jump for petty crimes in the area rather than actual valid crimes that we need their assistance on. One example that I can make is about 2 years ago, the community of Eastras voiced their opinions on how they feel like we aren't receiving proper service delivery in the area.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't heard out by our municipality, we weren't heard out by our mayor either. So obviously the people started retaliating, and the people of Eastras had a strike on this matter. The police were there instantaneously. They started shooting people with rubber bullets. They started chasing people around so that they can basically just evade the space. But if we had to call them at this point in time to tell them we're currently having a burglary at our house, or if you had to go to the police station and go and tell them, listen guys, I've just had a burglary at my house, can you please come and assist me in the matter? You'll walk into that Eastras police station and you will find them sleeping at their desks rather than sitting and doing the jobs that they are actually supposed to be doing. So I really have lost my faith in the justice system, not only because of the death of Nathaniel Julius that was caused by the police, but because of many other factors that the police have just totally dropped us on. They haven't done what they are supposed to be doing as our safety nets for the country.
Yes. Nathaniel Julius' death brought about solidarity among the colored community and sparked conversation among South Africans, that being what it means to be colored. Some responses included gangsterism, branded clothes amongst the likes of Nike and Adidas, as well as cuffed jeans. Now, some people are unaware that colored people do have a culture, just like, any other community. So please share with us what exactly this is, and how do we go about changing the stigma that colored people only do drugs and are gangsters?
Okay, so on this specific topic, there are so many things that one can actually bring to light. Like, a lot of people believe that we as coloreds don't have a culture merely for the fact that we are so mixed, we are so diverse, there's so much color and life within the colored culture that many people feel like it doesn't actually exist because there are so many trends that we follow. There are so many things that we as the colored community experience, whether it's a colored from Pretoria, whether it's colored from Cape Town, no matter where we are in South Africa. colours have such a diverse culture and we do so many things. Like, if I can give you certain examples based on the tweets that we have read like over the last 2 weeks based on colored culture, right? One of it was like, why, if colored culture doesn't exist, do I have a 5-year-old auntie? And that to me is basic. It's so true because the way our families are set up, it's like, if the family relationships, basically,
Yes.
it goes in terms of, if it's my aunt's child, then it's my cousin. But if it's my aunt's cousin, then what does that make me? So you see, it has like this whole array of difference within the family, and we always have like these matters of slang that we come up with. There's certain slang that we as colored people would use that other races won't understand. For example, if we say something is mos or something is nogal very cute, like stuff like that, people
Yeah.
don't generally understand what we are saying when we say that. And they often ask us for the definitions of this, but we just can't give it to them because we grew up using these terminologies. So it's not something that we can explain, but it definitely is something that we all live by. And
Yeah.
the person always thinks that you are the only household that experiences this, only to find out that there are a lot of other colored communities that experience exactly the same thing as you do. So I personally feel like people underestimate the colored culture for the fact that they don't see us following strict or rigid lines. They always see us all over the place. So they don't really understand the essence of colored culture.
Generally, colored people are not split all the same. If you go to someone and if you ask them to tell you the different races, they're gonna tell you that a colored person is in between a white person and a black person, which is generally because they are split that way. But
Yeah.
if I can explain it to you, if I am half colored and I am half black, and I have a Zulu family or Xhosa family or Tswana family, and the other half of my family is either Italian or they are farmers or they are Portuguese people. Am I supposed to just constantly tell you, okay, no, I'm supposed to go pay la vola or whatever? I'm just supposed to embrace just one side
Yes.
of my family. If my I have cousins that are Indian, that are Indian, but most of them go to church, but then you won't see them eating red meat. They, it's generally just the way it is split. Everyone is split equally. You'll see the same amount of stuff like in everyone's houses. The eating utensils, the glasses, the cooking manners, just the way we celebrate everything is usually all the same.
Yeah.
So for someone to say that we have no culture is generally incorrect immediately. Just that I don't know how to express my aspect of my culture because I am part of so many doesn't mean it is non-existent.
In 2018, Gauteng Premier David Makura explained that some colored people have told him that they were not white enough during apartheid and now they are not black enough during democracy. Now, these are very emotional words to hear. Do you share the same sentiments as colored people, whether it's the fear of not securing employment or not having access to proper service delivery because of your race?
Colored communities all over South Africa experience the same amount of disappointment when it comes to our government. In terms of service delivery, it is bad everywhere. We find rubbish dumps placed everywhere because our bins do not get picked up on time, or the police is not responding the way they're supposed to, or there is more load shedding in our area. There is more load shedding in our area than there is normally in East specifically. Like if there's load shedding here, the areas around us will not be off. And I'm not pointing it out to anybody that stays in that area. It's got to do with ESCOM. That's ESCOM's issue. But
Yeah.
it does not make sense for us to be all off alone. And also our water supplies sometimes get cut randomly without warning. It's just generally a mix up all the time. So and employment is generally bad for everyone in South Africa. I'm not gonna say it's just specifically towards the colored people, but in terms of employment and education, If I'm not motivated enough by the time I'm finished with school, even if I even make it to the end of school, am I going to be motivated enough to want to find funding for my studies if I know I barely made it through school? And if I even get through my studies, am I gonna have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, but nobody wants to hire me because I don't have experience?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to gain that experience? And this is me talking to all the students studying at the moment, not just the colored students.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to find employment whether or not I'm done with school, whether or not I have experience or not. It's generally a struggle for everyone.
Mm, mm,
Personally, on my side as well, I'd say that it's not really a fear of everything. It's just the uncertainty
mm.
for coloreds as a whole. Like if we have to go out and we have to look for a job at the end of our studies, fresh out of high school, whenever we're looking for a career, to me it's just unfair. And I actually even had a conversation about this with somebody yesterday where we said that it's unfair that in today's time you are picked for a career based on the quota that they are trying to fill for the races that they should have within their company. So to me that kind of makes me scared in a sense to say that what if I find my dream job one day and I have the perfect qualifications for it, but
Exactly.
somebody else is chosen over me, even though they have less experience or less qualifications, just because the specific company that I am trying to enter is trying to just merely fill a quota for the BEE regulations, or they're just trying to fill a specific quota in terms of what races they have within the company to
Yeah.
make it seem like they are a diverse company. So to me, that is one of my biggest fears in life, to have to go through that experience. And then when it comes to like the service delivery in our areas, I would also say that I feel like the government treats us unfairly, whether it's colored communities, whether it's black communities, lower class communities in general are
Yeah.
highly underlooked. We never get the recognition that we should. Rather, you'll see that the higher class communities get the preference, or they encounter less problems because of their status. So to me, service delivery isn't just a thing of race. It's a term. To me, it goes by how the government views us in terms of class.
Ending on a positive note now, and this applies to any community that has been neglected by the government. Despite the challenges, there are role models that always come out from an unstable community of crime and drugs. Now, do you guys have any role model within your local community? And what advice can you give to young people, speaking on behalf of the colored community, but not excluding other races?
Okay, so the personal role model that I would say I have a sort of family member. You see, like these colored relations. He's kind of family, but he's also not. So basically, he had this campaign where he stays in the area of Lodium.
Okay.
So within Lodium and the surrounding areas, he basically started this initiative where he would inquire which households need help in terms of food, in terms of sanitary products, whatever it may have been that they needed. He set up this initiative in order to basically collect funds and receive donations from those families who were obviously more able. And he went to these houses that he knew or that he heard of that needed this help, and he often took food parcels to them. Like at the beginning of lockdown, he would provide them with the sanitary products that they needed, and he honestly reached a lot of families with this initiative.
Mm,
He even got help from the famous Jazzy D,
mm.
that basically also gave him donations to carry on with this drive. So I generally say that to me, he is one of my role models because of the fact that he took the initiative to start something to help other people, not only his immediate family or his immediate friends, but he reached a wider range of people. So to me personally, he is a role model to me. And then also based on the part where you asked if we have any like motivation for communities, whether it's colored, whether it's blacks, whether it's whites, Asians, Indians, doesn't matter, okay? So there's like a quote that I basically want to read on a famous Instagram page that I feel like would reach a lot of people just on how to embrace themselves. So the quote reads, "It's not the duty of the race to prove that that specific race has a culture, because when a claim is made by a plain down idiot, it is not the role of the person who has been attacked to prove that his culture is real, but rather it falls on the idiot that made the false claims to educate themselves about what they are missing."
Thank you, Heidi.
To give you a little bit of education, I'm going to a role model for me that is an extremely a local role model in the community of Easters at this point, not this point, but in general, is a Dr. Willie Woods. Dr. Willie Woods is the CEO of a place called Easters Kent Training Center. Now, the training center is a place that people, children with disabilities, not just children, but people with disabilities go to get an education. Now, the reason why I say Dr. Willie Woods is my role model, that man has spearheaded the entire welfare initiative in South Africa specifically. If you ask anyone who lived in that time, they'll be able to answer you and tell you about Dr. Willie Woods. And also why he is such a role model for me is because his initiative to train the disabled children first before anyone else in a community is because it was something that was lacking in this community. And that is something that he decided to do on his own. And that center has been running for well over 5-6 years now, and people have all had something good to say. And it's not just the training center that they do; they look after the kids, they feed the kids. If the kids cannot procure employment after they are done with schooling, they employ the children there themselves. So it's not just giving them the education, it's giving them the tools for employment as well, and sometimes even giving them the employment. So that is my role model. That is a very local role model. Also, on top of the role models that you're speaking of, youngster CPT, that man, I have almost no words for him. Youngster CPT came from a very, very bad place. And just for him to be raping the colored communities and displaying or showing the world what we go through or what we have been through, what he has been through as a race and as a person, just because he's telling our story, I feel that he is worth mentioning as a role model to us as a people.
I hope that this episode made you realize that it is important to stand up for those who cannot speak and to recognize that South Africa is indeed a rainbow nation. And it is only when you get to know each and every color of that rainbow that you fully understand the significance of unity. Thanks for watching, and be sure to catch News Infusion on the 23rd at 12 p.m.